5 years and still talking. This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey, hey, this is Alex Bennett, and we're here until midnight Eastern Daylight Time from the East Coast of the United States in New York, New York. The city's so nice they named it twice. Ladies and gentlemen, the person you see in front of you is one Ronnie Bennett. There'd be two Ronnie Bennetts there if my eyes were not so correct now, since I got my conjunctivitis taken care of.
Oh, but you can see better now. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, no, it is much clearer, much clearer. So anyway, hello, Ronnie. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
Fine. You're in Lake Oswego, which is in Oregon.
Yes.
Which is, how's the corona affecting you guys there?
Well, there are a number of cases, more than a lot of other places, but nothing like Washington State. Mm-hmm. New York, but I am taking it very seriously, and basically I'm terrified. Yeah. We have no idea how many cases there are. Apparently, I heard one report this morning, I don't know nobody knows what's true anymore, is that the most testing we ever did was on March 5th, and it's gone downhill from then. And until we have widespread testing, we have no idea what we're up against. None.
Unless we have widespread testing, we don't know the actual numbers. I mean, there are people probably who are getting what they consider minor flus who have it, but they don't know it because it's a minor flu. And then it goes away, but in the meantime, they've infected how many other people? That's the problem.
What Dr. Fauci said yesterday in Congress was that on average, every infected person infects 2 to 3 other people, and then each of them, of course, infects 2 to 3 other people, and that does not sound unreasonable to me.
What I heard him say was with the common flu, it was 2 to 3. With this one, it's up to 7.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, that I heard.
And I had the TV on all day, so.
Yeah, well, yeah, all coronavirus all the time, right?
Yeah, well, I've made a list of the things I do and don't do anymore, because I'm old like you, and
No, you're not old like me. You're not old like me. Sorry. I'm much grouchier than you are.
Oh, I just pretend I'm not when we do this. And I have severely damaged lungs.
Yes, yeah.
So, I'm pretty sure that if I get the virus, I will die. And there's just not going to be anything anybody can do with all the stuff I have wrong with me.
They'll go, she's a fixer-upper.
I'm sorry, what? I didn't follow that.
No, they'll just say, well, she's a fixer-upper and she's not worth fixing up, so let's just let her go.
Listen, I've read some things that it's going to come to that, because we don't have enough beds, and we don't have enough, whatever those things that help people breathe when they're sick. Well, I've forgotten what they're called. And the time is going to come, if it's as bad as so many people think, that you're going to be presented with 2 people, doctors are, both with the virus, and they don't have what's necessary to treat them both.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to make some awful, awful decisions. My hope that if I'm one of those people, take the younger person. I've had a good life.
Yeah, yeah.
I have no complaints, and I'm old. But I think we all have to think about those things right now, because it's not going to get better anytime soon. Mm-hmm. Fauci also said yesterday that it's going to get worse, much worse.
Yeah.
And that first time he appeared on camera with the president, he really disappointed me. And he's been a hero of mine going clear back to his work with HIV and AIDS. And he in that very first press conference with the president, I think it was at the CDC, or maybe it was the day before, he talked about how much the president was doing. Well, that was bullshit then, and he really disappointed me in doing that. And as that was the head of the CDC, did the same thing, and it just. Did you watch the speech last night?
No, I didn't. We were going to watch it, and then we forgot about it, and it was so quick that it was over by the time we got to it.
Yeah, it was only about 10 minutes.
Because we like to watch the president give those speeches because it's the only real comedy we get in our lives right now.
Well, this time it's not funny. And a lot of people are dead already, and a lot more are going to die. So I have a bunch of rules for myself.
Yeah, like?
Well, I wash my hands. That's the most effective way, is washing your hands. You should save sanitizer for when you're not near soap and water. Mm-hmm. And I'm down to, as everybody else may be in the country, I'm down to, a little travel size, and that's it. You can't find it for any amount of money. You can't find the proper kind of hand sanitizer anymore. I'm not going out unless I absolutely have to. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking about, yesterday I had a CT scan at the medical center.
How'd that go, by the way?
Like a CT scan goes. I mean, you lie there, they take a picture.
Yeah.
There's nothing more to say, but I'm thinking that if I don't have to have anything done to me that requires medical equipment, that I want, anytime I've got an appointment with a doctor, I would rather do telemedicine now, because hey, it's a hospital. It's 5 hospitals or more, and that's where the sick people are. So.
Well, you can imagine. I last week had a procedure at a hospital, and that scared me. Not because of the procedure, but because of the possibilities of the coronavirus. Where is it going to show up the most? In a hospital, But
you also don't want to use up their time, maybe, if there are people who are really sick, and we don't have enough capacity in our hospitals. So,
well, I have a thing with my eye where I have to have the lids.
Don't do that.
No, tight. Well, tight.
Don't pull on it.
Well, have to be tightened up because they're drooping, and that bacteria gets in there and everything, and it has to be fixed. It's covered
My
by
neighbor
insurance.
just had that done.
Well, but before I do it, I have to go over to Mount Sinai and get an eye test. Mm-hmm. And I am not going to do it till this thing has kind of abated itself, because
that may be many months.
Well, I'm going to wait many months, because I'm not going to go over there and take up their precious space when they could use it helping other people with something very serious,
Another thing that I'm going to do now, I just made the decision yesterday, I guess, is that from earlier in my treatment for the things that are wrong with me, there was a period of 2 months where twice a day I had to give myself injections in my abdomen. Mm-hmm. And I have a big box left over of nitrile gloves.
Yeah.
And so I put some in my handbag. I'm going to leave some in the car, because last time I was at the market, they have a dispenser with things to clean your hands with, and the basket you're pushing.
Yeah.
It was empty the last time I was there. And so everybody else is finally using it, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
But I'm going to take the gloves, because whatever I'm buying around the store, I don't know who's touched it or coughed on it or whatever. So I'm going to use those and throw them away afterwards.
I have a tradition. I guess it's almost what's the word I'm looking for? It's a habit that I have when I go to any doctor's office. That when he's not looking, I steal a pair of gloves.
Oh,
because they have thousands of them. Okay,
they pay for those. That goes on everybody's bill.
They take them, I put them on, they take them off, they throw them away. Take them on, but anyway, I just do it as tradition. I haven't collected that many. I have maybe 4 or 5 pair of them, and now I have a reason to use them. And try and go out and find those gloves anywhere right now. Go on Amazon. I bet they're not available any longer.
Yeah, there's not, and people, and if there's anything funny about this, and I don't find any of it funny, it's that people are hoarding toilet paper, apparently. There's several news stories, and everybody keeps saying there's plenty of toilet tissue.
Why would people be hoarding toilet paper is what I couldn't figure. I heard that too, and I went,
because they think it's going to run out, like hand sanitizer.
toilet paper's not going to run out.
Well, that's what they're saying in the reporting, but people don't believe it. But that's a very important point, Alex, is that none of us believe anything coming out of the government. So if the reporter got that information from some government employee, why would you believe it? Everything out of their mouths is a different story. None of it makes any sense.
Yeah.
So I think that is almost the most dangerous thing that's going on, is that there's no way to believe anything the government says right now.
Yeah. Well, they say you can't find hand sanitizer anywhere.
Well, that wasn't what I was discussing.
No, but what I'm saying is things like that. I mean, are there any other things people are hoarding that they don't need to hoard, I guess?
I mean, when I was at the supermarket 2 or 3 days ago, all the shelves where there are like surface cleaning products, things you squirt on the counter and wipe it down.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. Those were empty. Those were all gone. There were all that places where hand sanitizer would be were all empty. Mm-hmm. And then I stopped on the way home at the drugstore, and they had none of any of that stuff either. So, you do the best you can. Soap and water is best. And if you don't go to what this is going to do to the economy is terrifying.
Oh, terrifying? It already is terrifying.
That's what I said,
Yeah.
I thought. But I mean, it's going to get much worse. And Fauci is not just about the disease, but how people function in the world. A whole bunch of sports teams are going to stop playing.
The NAB has said they're not playing the rest of their season.
Well, there are several more since they said that.
Yeah.
And they moved, even the debate between Biden and Sanders has been moved from Arizona to Washington, D.C., they announced this morning. Mm-hmm. God, I can't even keep up with all the things that, who's going to go to a movie? I'm not going.
Well, if I really wanted to see a Broadway show, now's the time to do it, because there are seats available for every performance at half price.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't.
No, I wouldn't either. If I were 30, I probably would. Because your chances of survival are very good. But at our age, I feel that this disease has targeted me. Targeted you.
Back up a minute to 30-year-olds. They have to be just as careful as we are, because next thing you know, they're sitting next to you on the subway.
Oh, right. No, of course.
And so just because 30-year-olds don't die and 80-year-olds do, doesn't mean they should wantonly go anywhere and not worry about it.
Now, we realize that the age category, older, they usually say, 70 and above? Something like that, maybe 60.
Some said 50 and above. I don't know. You can't tell because the government says different things every day.
Although the mortality rate is higher among that group, or say for you and I, how much higher is it than for younger people?
Way higher. Way higher.
Way higher. Okay.
I don't remember the numbers, and you can't trust them. But a couple of responsible science types that I saw on television, it is much, much higher. And that's because our immune systems don't function very well at our age, that we have all kinds of other underlying diseases. I have 2 very serious diseases that, and more old people have something underlying, whether it's heart disease or cancer or whatever, than 30-year-olds do by magnitudes. Mm-hmm. So, it's much, much higher, but we don't even know. I mean, like you said, you heard Fauci say 7 people are infected by every infected person. I've never heard that number, but I have heard 2 to 3. And it's everybody's responsibility to keep this, do everything possible to keep this at bay.
Somebody said this in the last 24 hours on some program somewhere, that yes, if you're younger, you can say, well, my chances of dying from it are not higher. But the chances that you could give it to your grandparents and they could die from it are higher.
And I said that.
Yeah. And that's the point to remember, is that even as uncompromised as you may be, you're not, you have the ability to compromise other people. And that's it, plain and simple. And that's the horrible part about this particular affliction, is because, you know, since we don't have the testing, we don't know who has that and who has the flu. And now what they've said is, if you had the flu shot this year and you get something you think is the flu, it might be the coronavirus. But if you haven't had your flu shot, then it could be the flu. You know,
I haven't heard that.
yeah.
Don't say that as
No,
gospel.
no, I heard that from. I think it was.
You don't know. Who did you hear it from?
I think
and how
I heard it from.
reliable?
I heard it from Fauci, actually.
I haven't heard that. And I've been reading
no,
his
but
interviews.
I've heard that you're compromising other people if you have it. No matter.
It doesn't matter if you're young and whether you have what, until you know what you have, which nobody knows because there's so little testing.
Yeah.
You know, you have to be as careful as everybody else. It's really up to us, because nobody can do anything except just people walking around in their lives.
Well, I'm not leaving it to our president. I'll tell you that right now. You know.
And I don't understand the testing problem. I don't understand shutting down. He's shut down all travel to the U.S. from most European countries, except the UK, where he owns 3 golf resorts.
Well, let's look at one other factor. If stopping people from coming here from countries that have the coronavirus, all right?
Pretty much all countries do.
Well, is going to prevent it, then how come when we did it initially, very early on, we made that travel restriction from China, and apparently that didn't stop it?
And travel restrictions aren't going to stop it now. It's here. It's multiplying every day.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got the National Guard keeping people in a 1-mile area of New Rochelle, for heaven's sake.
Yeah.
Because they have such a high incidence of it. So it's here. I mean, you know, it's not going to, you know, maybe if it would stop a few people, but in general, the numbers go up by a couple of thousand here every day of infected people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's from interior, you know, there's a phrase for it, I keep forgetting, but community infection or something like that.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, the thing is, though, that it's up to each of us to be responsible.
Yeah.
To do everything we can to ourselves not get it and not to pass it to someone else. Mm-hmm. And it's, and I just hope, I mean, something like this hasn't happened since 1918.
Right.
At least we have more information about health and staying healthy than we did back then.
Yeah.
But we still don't know how many people have it and how long it's going to go on and what it's going to do to the world economy. And, you know, let's just assume it goes for a few months and then tapers off and pretty much stops. Mm-hmm. By then, everybody is out of habit of going to sports games and movies and theater, and kids not going to school, all tele-learning, whatever it's called. Yeah. No gatherings of people that are more than a couple. I'm not so sure. I want to go to a gathering of even a few people, because you can have the virus for a while. I don't know how long, maybe a few days, 2 or 3 or 4 days, before you necessarily have symptoms. So just because somebody isn't sneezing and coughing doesn't mean they don't have the virus.
Well, my wife, you know, works for a Chinese company, mm-hmm. and they're making everybody work from home right now. You know, mm-hmm. and however, one of the people, her big boss, came in from Hong Kong the other day, and I don't know how he managed to do that, but his family is in Singapore, and they can't get out. They can't, he can't get to them. So he's going to have to wait for this to be over with. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's devastating on so many different levels. And on top of that, the stock market has taken a hit that, this president, if he had the confidence of people, could have stemmed off a lot of that sell-off. But nobody trusts him. That's the
Well,
problem.
he also, it's not only not trust him now, particularly, but he also doesn't know how to rally people to the necessities of what we need to do. He doesn't know how to do that. I think because he doesn't have an empathetic bone in his body. He doesn't see this as danger to people. He sees it as a danger to him from being reelected.
And also his bank account, which is not that great to
He
begin
has
with.
one.
If he has one, exactly.
Well, and he's stealing so much from us, so maybe that's how he keeps going.
Yeah.
But, you think about FDR, nothing to fear but fear itself,
Yeah.
You could think of, was one of JFK's speeches that was so amazing. I don't remember which one. That in times of big troubles, you want the leader to be there to reassure you, to be doing the right thing, to explaining what is being done and what our responsibilities are. And he does none of that.
Well, I mean, it's a matter of rallying the nation, making the nation feel comfortable with the situation, saying, yes, this is serious. We all have to do our part, but it's manageable. And, here are the steps we can take. But there's no sense of confidence that you have in this man because he lies with everything he says. Even his followers know he lies. So there's no confidence there. And this lack of confidence is the proof of the lack of confidence is the way the stock market has reacted to this because he's done nothing to abate the fear. So.
Do you think that this is going to change that solid 40% that no matter what he does, always sticks with him?
No, but I don't think they're the ones who are going to elect him or not elect him, and it isn't going to be the lefties.
Wait, don't go too far. Back up to that. Why? I think they are.
No, wait a minute. Let me finish. Let me finish with what I'm saying. I think that, there's 40% that is with him. It may be less than that. It could be in the 30s somewhere. And there are those who are against him, which may amount to another 40%, 50%. But there's a 30% in the middle, and that's going to be the difference. And it's a matter of how those people feel today as opposed to when they voted the last time. Which brings me to my final question of the day, because we probably could go forever on this. Which of these two guys do you think has the best chance?
Biden.
Biden? Okay. I agree with you. I agree with you on that. I think if Bernie were to be,
I think more so now that the coronavirus has exploded here. I think more so Biden has the better chance now because I sense in myself, and I think is probably happening to other people, because God knows I'm not unique, is that I want everything to settle down. We've got a terrible, terrible problem. It's going to last many months, and it's going to be hard to get through.
Yeah.
But following that, I just want it to be quiet and take care of everything that needs taking care of. Yeah. I don't want the constant Sturm und Drang of Trump. I just, it exhausts me even to think about it.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Well, I just feel that Bernie would be doing everybody a favor if he gave up now and we could get on with things. But let me just mention one thing and then we'll go. It was said that today Biden is going to make a statement on the coronavirus and that it's not going to be political, it's going to be presidential in nature. And somebody said this thing has given Biden the opportunity to look presidential. So who knows?
I think it's one of the most important things.
This
But
may be the big audition. Anyway, it's starting to look dark where you are for some reason.
the sun's very bright.
Very bright. Well, it's on one side, and on the other side, you're looking darker than usual.
Oh, well, the windows are on one side and they aren't on the
We should have
other.
had you turn on the light. Hey, listen, good talking to you. You're looking healthy. That's all I can say. And here's looking at you and hoping your CT scans are okay. And we look forward to talking to you in a couple of weeks.
Okay, take good care.
5 years and still talking. This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
And, of course, that is our good old ex-wife, Ronnie Bennett, and I hope you enjoy her. I know you do because I get a lot of really nice comments about her. Let me see here. Let me get the Skype opened up. And we'll have a good hour of discussion with the citizen panel. If you want to be part of it, you just call us at GabNet Live on Skype. GabNet Live. If you want the phone number, let me go over here. I'll go look at it here for a quick second. There is a phone number you can use, 347-352-0079. That's 347-352-0079. If you need any of that information, you can go over to gabnet.net, and it's all there. Okay, all righty. Okay, let me see here. Let me get everything together here. And hey, I have to turn on my make myself active so you can see that I am on, and that you can then call me and be part of the citizen panel. I'm feeling okay today. A little tired, as usual, and my side is hurting me a little bit. But yeah, outside compared to what it could be, life's okay. Anyway, let's see here. That's Phil. Automatically, Phil goes into the bottom slot there, right there. That's where he was before, so that's where he shall stay when he calls. Hello, Phil. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you feeling?
Oh, I'm feeling okay. It's, yeah. I mean, better than I could be. Worse than I could. No, wait a minute. I'm doing fine. I mean, if I had to complaining compared to a lot of other people and what they go through and so on, is not the same as what I'm going through here. So it's not really bothering me that much, It could be worse.
I'm glad it's tolerable.
Yeah, could be worse. But let me see here. Wait a minute. I'm trying to get Tony, Tony on here. Let me see here. Put him in the second slot. And there we go, Webhead. Okay. And then if Jeff wants to call, what's that? Jeez almighty. I can't do anything right. Hold on a second. Webhead. There we go. And there we go. Okay.
OBS link.
Yeah, what?
I saw that you must have seen something that said OBS link.
Yeah, web link. It's part of the system that I don't use. Anyway, how are you all tonight?
I went food shopping. It was a madhouse by me.
Stay away from me. Stay away from me.
Toilet paper?
I got a lot of toilet paper.
Why are people getting toilet paper? That's what I
Because
don't.
I think they're afraid they're not going to get a shipment. I was talking to the stock guy.
Does toilet paper come from China? I thought toilet paper came from like Oregon.
I thought it came from my ass, to be honest with you, but
I got a lot.
Yeah.
I would have thought price gouging anything now.
When you get up from the seat, there's always some hanging off,
Yeah.
I think they're afraid of deliveries.
So I mean, I don't, but I can't understand why the run on toilet paper. It just doesn't seem to make much sense, does it?
That P.S. Because Amazon deliveries, UPS are getting people's signature when they drop off toilet paper shipments now because neighbors are stealing the toilet paper.
Oh, this is getting too goofy. Yeah. I don't understand. I mean, to me, it makes no sense at all. Why the toilet paper? Are people afraid that they're not going to be able to go get any, or they don't want to? Maybe they want to go home and they don't want to have to leave. That could be it.
That's
Well,
pretty
I got plenty. I got enough for at least a month.
Kevin,
But she eats it,
They
though.
think they're going to be locked up.
really?
I hear we're going to be on lockdown.
There are so few cases. Yes, they're growing, but if you do as instructed, wash your hands, clean surfaces, don't cough on people.
Yeah. You can still get it, Phil.
Well, yeah, but it's less.
Phil, you're in
less-
that age group. It could kill you.
Yeah.
And
I'm
you're
afraid-
also your health compromised because of the prostate operation.
Do you know that the head of the?
But I'm okay because it's known that radiation kills the coronavirus.
All right. Do you know that the head of Italy's medical, like the CDC, whatever they call their CDC, died today, 67 years old, coronavirus.
Yeah.
The head.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And I'm waiting for the first member of our government to come down with it seriously and maybe die of it.
We should start a board.
Huh?
Yeah. He says, what is it?
Death pool.
He does with the betting pool for the.
Yeah.
You're not
Oh,
A Deadpool.
We
A
should do
Deadpool.
it.
Yeah.
I got Ted Cruz.
I got
Put $20 a square.
Yeah.
I heard that Utah Jazz basketball player said that he doesn't have the coronavirus and that he was joking when he touched the microphones and did all of those things, that it was a joke.
Oh, really?
No. He touched them all, not knowing he had the coronavirus, and then when this positive came back, he started apologizing.
Yeah,
Really?
he said he thought it was a joke. Oh, okay, so he actually is positive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let me see here. I'm adding people to the crowd here. Hold on a second. Then I got to add, let me see here. I'm going to go here to the number 5 and get Mr. Zeller in here. And we have Rob Alfano waiting. Hold on a second. Everybody, you shall see.
I'm not taking my mother out for a while.
There's literally no sports on anymore, and I'm just
I know.
going nuts.
can't believe-
I am
told
going
me to.
Let me
nuts.
see here.
They'll play last year's games, and you can always bet on those, and I bet you win.
Okay, let me see
Yeah,
here.
that'd be good.
There we go.
Baseball.
Okay.
I mean, not even drag racing. I figured at least if you're inhaling nitromethane, at least it would kill it.
yeah.
I guess they don't want their crowds to die.
Well, let's see here. Some of the things that have been stopped, NBA games, of course. I think the NHL is going to stop games.
They're all done.
Everybody.
Yep.
Everybody.
The
Baseball.
the Final Four or whatever that's called is going to be played.
March Madness.
March Madness is going to be played, but without audiences.
Nope,
No,
they shut it
canceled
down.
They canceled it completely.
canceled it.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Then my
Canceled
TV
it.
shows will be on. Oh, okay.
There is no sports.
Period.
Baseball is canceled the first 2 weeks of the season to start.
Yeah.
But like New York right now, they have a 500 person maximum limit to congregate, which means you can't play baseball games in New York. So how are you going to have a
Yeah,
season?
well, you know something, when they say there's a 500 person limit, but where? I mean, if it's a 500 person limit in my apartment,
No.
I mean-
500 person congregating anywhere.
Well, that's what cracked me up. Is I was at Costco
They canceled
yesterday,
parade.
and I went to Costco to do my shopping, and of course I needed toilet paper, so that was a mistake.
yeah.
And I'm talking to the lady in front of me, going, "I'm standing in this line for fucking toilet paper," and and I go, they put a rule out that you couldn't have more than 1,000 people in one place. There's at least 2,000 people in this fucking store trying to get toilet paper to get us all out of here.
With the
Stop and shop.
business that is going to be off for the next couple of months, you don't want to demonetize Alex, because if you do, then it's
I was
main-
bleeping toilet paper.
Yes.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, listen. I found out they sent a thing through to all the people who are producers on YouTube, that those of us who are monetized, there's a rule against something that has to do with news events or something that can demonetize you. But they will not demonetize you if you talk about the coronavirus, where they would under that old rule, but they're allowing us to talk about it. And I'm thinking, geez, they better let us talk about it. I mean, this is important. Now,
Well, I know we slipped a couple of F-bombs last night, and I got a commercial when we came on tonight, so
Yeah, but
you're still good.
That doesn't mean he gets money. There may be a commercial.
Oh, I see. Okay.
No, they can't run a commercial if in other words, if the content of the program is something an advertiser would not be happy with, they don't monetize you. And then they don't run commercials, although they will run some commercials for advertisers who don't care.
Right, but do you get any money from that?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I'm up to $8.35 now.
Very good. Well, this is something that needs to be a positive side of the coronavirus is that GabNet is corona-free at the moment. Anyone that wants to join in on GabNet will not get the coronavirus from GabNet.
Well, I've been having allergies today. But every time I sniffle, I think, could it be the corona?
Yeah, you and me both. I was doing the same thing.
Yeah,
I got a flu shot a couple of days ago, and my eyes watered a little bit. Mm-hmm. So I said, "Oh, geez, maybe I should get tested."
They don't have kits yet, though, Phil. That's what they're worried about.
Brian Neary, a guy that calls the show, he was working early on a DNA version of testing for the coronavirus. I don't know. I should ask him, where he's at on that. But you remember Brian?
Yeah.
So, his company processes tests through DNA. Mm-hmm. And that might be a very quick way of getting the results.
Well, one of the things I don't want anybody to do on this program. Hi, Todd. How are you this evening?
Hey, how you doing?
One thing that I don't want people to do is to give out any kind of medical advice here.
Well, you got Dr. Phil here.
Yeah, but I don't want to do what do you call it? Medical advice. Like I was noticing, Peaches Courage was one of the people who writes on our chat room thing. He's giving out medical advice. Oh, here's what to do. And he was talking about breathing exercises, and he was talking about, I don't know, something else, and certain amino acids and so on. I don't want, I took it off. I took it off because I don't like medical advice to go out because we're not doctors,
With a name like Peaches, do you think it's a he?
Leave that to Jim Baker.
Leave that. Yeah, Jim Baker with his what is that, silver solution or something?
Silver solution,
yeah.
It'll cure anything.
Yeah.
Is he still alive?
Oh yeah, he's still alive. He's on TV again. He's got his ministry going again. But
Tammy
now
Faye was the one that went down for the count.
What?
Tammy Faye?
Well, she died. She died. That's how she went down for the count.
Yeah, she went down, and he got another one to follow right in her footsteps.
Yeah. I used to love their show. God, I used to love their show. I don't know how many of you ever watched it, but geez, that was pure entertainment every day.
Yeah.
Just like now, he's been replaced by watching a Trump press conference. It's pure entertainment.
Do you know?
Praise the Lord and pass your paycheck.
When Dr. Gene Scott used to have his wife sing, he says, "Oh, come on and sing," and then they'd raise some more money.
Gene Scott was a piker compared to Tammy and Jim Baker because the two of them, it was a great show. It was a great TV show, purely entertaining. They even have this one kid who, I don't know, had some kind of problem. I don't know what it was, but he couldn't walk, and his growth was stunted, and he couldn't walk.
You had the same guy on your show.
He could only lie on his back, and he would roll onto the set and lie there at their feet while they talked to him. And then when they built this Heritage, was it Heritage USA? Was that what it was called?
Yeah, Heritage USA.
They built a house called Kevin's House, and you could go see Kevin and all his other freak friends. Okay, and
That's
you
like a
would
carnival.
you would go visit this house, and here was like Kevin in a wheelchair or lying there. I don't know what he was doing, and maybe the girl with one arm and somebody else who had eyes in the back of his head, and it was literally the freak show of Heritage USA. It was wonderful.
They had a place for these kids that needed stuff. I mean, in their own way, they were doing good.
Yeah. And you could, then but here's the thing. He got all this money from these people and said, I'm going to build you a religious theme park. And he did. And he built a big one, too. It was huge. And so, but there are a lot of reasons. I wish somebody would write the whole story on how Jim Baker fell down.
He got busted for selling condos there, and he sold more condos.
No, that had nothing. That had nothing to do with it. He wasn't doing any stealing from anybody.
It was a sex scandal.
It was the people who were working with him, and they were the ones who were doing the stealing.
Investors in the theme park, and he sold more than 100% of the theme park. I think that's what it was.
No, that wasn't what they got him on. They got him on the whole Jessica Hahn thing. That's what they got him on. And also right. Because that happened, his whole religious thing fell apart.
That was a different guy.
No, I remember this better
Jessica
than you do,
Hahn
Phil, because I watched it every day. You watched it too, right, Rob?
Which
Jessica Hahn was from the church right around the corner from where I lived. She went to when I lived in Seaford on Long Island, Massapequa, Seaford. She attended the church right there on Jerusalem Avenue. That's how I know of her. And yeah, that's what happened. She had an affair with Jim Baker. They met in a hotel room and blah,
who was
blah,
the
blah.
other preacher that had an
Jimmy
affair?
Swaggart.
You're talking about Swaggart. Swaggart was a different situation altogether. That was Jerry Lee Lewis's cousin.
Yeah, and he wanted to have sex with a woman and her 13-year-old daughter.
Yeah. And that was a different deal altogether. But what happened with Jim Baker was he got hit in the middle of this scandal. And I got to explain a little history here. What Baker had that every evangelist wanted was early on he saw the value of satellite transponders. And so he had a couple of transponders. And by the time all these other religious guys like Falwell and Swaggart and so on wanted to get into the satellite business, the transponders were all sold. So the only way they could get one is if they stole one from somebody. So what Swaggart and Falwell convinced what's his name to do, the guy we're talking about, Jim Baker, to do, was put the transponders in their name, and they would hold them in trust until he got this whole legal thing taken care of. Well, they took it, but they never gave it back. And it was a scheme to get Jim Baker out of the business because he was the most successful guy in it. And nobody's ever written that story. And it's an amazing story of just duplicity and among people who call themselves really religious people. And of all these people, the Bakers were the most legitimate. That was the interesting part about it.
What happened with the Heritage and the overselling of the shares?
It wasn't an overselling of shares. He sold shares, and you could buy a share, and you could get like a couple of days or something a year. I don't think he oversold the shares. That was not the issue. That was not the big issue. The big issue was Jessica Hahn, to tell you the damn truth. That's what kicked it all off. And then it led to other things like the fact that they saw that a lot of money that had been sent to this place had gone missing because they would come in cash, and people who were working there would just go into the back room and take a scoop full of money home with them. You know? If they were guilty of anything, it was not watching the store, trusting other people to do it.
Joel Osteen is not going to have service.
I was going to say, there's good news to the coronavirus. Joel Osteen is not going to be able to hold services. So that's the good news. Yeah, I hate Joel Osteen. God, he's disgusting. What is the magic of that guy? Hi, Todd. How you doing? How you keeping away from the coronavirus? Are you just driving really fast to do it? And
Yeah, I'm staying away as much as I can. Just been driving and working, and my truck was in the shop again, and that's the reason why I wasn't on the other day. So, I got it squared away now, so
Yeah.
back on the road.
Let me ask you this: How's this affected your business? It's got to have affected your business.
Yeah, it's getting bad. It's getting real bad. There's less freight. A lot of companies now shutting down, closing the doors.
Yeah.
There's one that got rid of all of the truck drivers. They're done. So,
Todd, fuel is supposed to go down very shortly because the price of oil has gone down to about $30 or $31 a barrel, and which is the lowest we've seen in years because of the Russia-Saudi Arabia beef. And
the thing you don't seem to realize, Phil, this isn't good news, because the good news is the oil is down. The bad news is you won't need to buy it because you're not driving your car anywhere.
Well,
he's got nothing to put on the truck.
And he's got nothing to put on the truck. So don't tell him the fuel is cheaper now. Yeah, it'd be wonderful if it was cheaper now and he could be driving big loads to various places, but that's not the case. So, but do we have Trump to thank for the low oil prices? Is that what you're saying?
We have Putin and King Farouk or whatever his name is.
Who hate each other. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who hate each other.
Who's the king of Saudi Arabia now? Salman.
The king of Scotland.
I don't know. Salman Rushdie. I don't know. I can't remember his name.
I'm losing track.
RSM, I think they call him RS something. Yeah.
Is that the prince or the the supreme leader there?
RS is the prince. Yeah. But anyway, the fact is today, God, the stock market went down almost 10%. One day.
Down, since my investment week, I am down 18%.
Really? I'm down. I've lost maybe close to, I'd say maybe $10,000-$15,000.
Well, I started with 1,000. I bought 3 shares of one stock and 2 shares of another. They were index funds for the Dow. Mm-hmm. I'm down $190.
Really?
$190.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, it's a good experiment. I'm going to leave it there.
Well, I'm not moving mine anywhere soon, unless we have to pay more lawyers. And I told Marjorie we're going to have to find the money elsewhere because I'm not cashing in my Vanguard right now. I got to let it rebuild.
That's what I bought: Vanguard and Fidelity.
Yeah. Well, Vanguard's done very well for me, but. This is terrible. I mean,
I'm scared, really.
It's horrible.
In all of these downturns, 20 bear markets that we've had since, I think, 1940, on average, the market goes up 14% within a reasonable period of time, within maybe 2 years. So it'll come back.
Phil, it may come back, but maybe not fast enough for me. And what you say may well be true. On the other hand, we're right back where we started. Anything that Trump claims was gained in the stock market while he was in office has been obliterated.
He can't be blamed for this.
He can be blamed for it, Phil, because the son of a bitch didn't make America have confidence. Well, he didn't know how to instill confidence. Listen to me. He did not know how to instill confidence in the American public and make them believe that this thing will be okay. Calm down, America. He was not the person who was able to do it.
Well, that was his message.
Every time he gives a speech, the stock goes down another 2,000 points.
Didn't you think he was going to say chinks last night during He was this close to saying the Chinese.
Wait a minute. It's one of those stock traders that that gets up in the morning and has all of these programs and so forth. And he said in the last couple of weeks there were 3 of these indicators where the 10-year and the 2-year flip, and he says that is a signal of recession. and he got out of the market.
So here we go. Here's what happens: the Republicans gets in control. We go into a deep recession, and the Democrats will pull us out.
And the Democrats go, oh, vote for me, vote for me. Okay, we'll vote for you. Then they vote for them, and of course, they inherit the downturn.
What goes up must go down, and what goes down.
So why is it always the Republicans?
Yes, but you have to understand,
when it falls apart.
Phil.
Is that just luck? Is that just luck?
He who lives by the sword. He who lives by the sword dies by the sword. And in this case, the sword that Trump has been living on is, look how wonderful the economy is doing.
Well, it's gonna hurt him. You guys should be rolling around and laughing and having a good time. So,
if it wasn't my retirement money, I would. But
yeah, well, I mean, I'm living on a fixed income, and that money I number one could have used for this legal defense, and I'm not going to cash it in now because I don't want to lose that money. It's terrible, and the reason for it is, Phil, that you have a president who somehow has, the more he talks to the public, the worse things get.
Well, because we don't trust anything he says. Even his supporters don't
Biden
trust
gave
what he
him
said.
the best piece of advice anybody could give him the other day when he said the president should just shut up.
Hey,
that's the problem. Like the other night, he was talking, right? I forgot what speech it was. And Anthony Fauci, the head guy, right?
Yeah.
Is after he's done talking to Trump, he basically contradicted everything he said. Like, you know what he's doing, Phil? That's wrong. He's talking out of his ass. He's basically trying to calm everybody down. But there is a problem. Maybe he shouldn't even be there talking at certain
because
points.
nobody.
You know why he does that? He does that, Tony, because the most important thing to him is not what happens; it's that he's not blamed for it.
Hey, I have something cute to say.
Well, are you going to take us off the topic?
No, it's with the topic.
Yeah.
I was walking my dog, and Charles Schwab is just across the park from where I live. So we walked into Charles Schwab, and I looked up at the board, and I said, "Ella, no dog food today."
Oh, come on.
I'll tell you what was really funny. Here's Trump for you. He's given a speech. I don't know. Maybe it was today. Yeah, I think he was sitting there with the Prime Minister of Ireland or something, and he's talking about the coronavirus situation. And he says, and there have been instances, so many instances of the coronavirus, or as they call it in the medical trade, cases. And I'm thinking, well, really? I learned something from the president today that you call somebody who's got the virus a case, not an incident, not a happening, not a perchance. It's a
little
case.
Insight for you there.
Yeah.
Did the Brazilian president try to assassinate Trump the other day?
Yeah, you mean by trying to infect him?
By shaking his hand.
Who? Let's see here.
Make sure I got him.
So far, the only movie people are Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson.
Yeah, my sister told me. I thought she was joking.
Why?
They're in Australia. You know what's funny? My sister says they got the test faster in Australia than they did here.
Well,
you know why that is, don't you? Because the WHO actually offered it to the United States, but the United States said, no, we got it covered. And then they administered their test, and our test was bogus.
And on top of that, Trump goes on the air today and he says, and by Friday or something, we're going to have 4 million tests. And I'm thinking to myself, and how many do we need if we want to test everybody in America to see who's got it and who doesn't have it?
330
Look at
million?
it, though. Let's be honest. I'm never leaving the house.
Yeah, right.
I don't leave the house. I work from home. I don't go anywhere.
Where did we get
I
those?
never thought I'd go out this way.
Did we get those defective tests from China?
No.
Got 4 things of peanut butter.
Actually, China, it's turned around for China, and the reason it's turned around for China,
They locked it down.
well, because they're an authoritarian country, and they say this is what's going to happen, and here's how it's going to be done, and you're going to do it that way. right?
Maybe
And
we
they
should-
closed
Yeah,
off.
they were snatching them up and throwing them in the back of trucks and saying you're going into this building until you're better.
Yeah, and they closed down Wuhan and all of that, and they managed to turn it around.
You good with that?
Maybe we should be like that for
The way
once.
you constitute.
I'm comfortable staying home for a month. I'll watch cartoons and TV.
And our president is not letting anybody in from other countries now, which is stupid because the virus is here already. Didn't he hear about it? It's here.
Yeah.
Want to
We got it. What does it matter? Let them all in now.
It's like everything
We got
else,
kids.
always
Let them
too
all
late
do
to the
it.
party.
Yeah, always too late to the party. He closed down China, what, 2.5 months ago? Travel from there, and it still got here.
Yeah, but nowhere near. You see, the South Koreans
What a casino.
did a good job of turning the stuff around, and
Because they had enough tests.
well, not only did they have enough tests, but they got a handle on it early. Now I don't remember exactly what they did at this moment.
Something I said the other night about North Korea, that by being so isolated, they're probably safe from it. But it turns out they've had something like 250 deaths so far.
and that's
North
just
Korea.
from Kim Jong-un not being happy with them.
He doesn't even have to kill those people anymore. They just can do it
They kill
themselves.
themselves, yeah.
They weren't sick.
Don't shoot them. They're just gonna. Don't waste the bullets. Just shake hands. We'll throw a
They
big party
became
for everybody.
contaminated. He just threw them over the border.
Yeah, right,
They
exactly.
ran out of bullets.
This is crazy.
but-
I never thought I'd see
But
something
you know,
like this. It's like a
I'm
movie.
worried about it because I feel like the coronavirus has a bullet to my head because
You gotta be
of
careful
my
because you just had
age.
the therapy area.
Look at Jeff. Jeff, how do you feel about it? I mean, you got a heart condition. You're over the age of. They say the age they're saying is over 55. Something
Over
like that.
55, that's
Yeah.
for sure.
Well, just wash your hands, put away your toys, and make your bed.
But that it's still a
Well,
Well, wait,
I'm
let-
pre-infected.
We took her
I'm
to the
already
doctor. She doesn't have
pre-infected.
anything.
You're pre-infected. Why?
Well, I've got an infection in my leg already.
Oh, okay.
It's
Well,
festering.
well, then how many infections can you have at one time? Who, you know? You
That's
know?
true. I'll just tell it not to come here.
Yeah, right. Yes, Jeff. What are you going to say?
Well, what I really am concerned about is I'm going home over this weekend. And I tell you, maybe I'll stay in the basement and my wife will be upstairs and we'll talk each other. But don't touch each
Well,
other.
I went out of the house
I will
today.
not
I
see my
went out of the
grandkids.
house today, and I went down to just buy some bread at the store, okay, and a few other little things. And I took hand sanitizer with me.
Oh, I got the Purell. I found some.
Yeah, and
Sanitizer.
it was very funny though. I was
I
watching.
cleaned myself so much.
Did anybody see that the Bernie Sanders had a press conference there, or speech he gave today, which was it was terrible. It was very ineffective. Did anybody see it or hear it?
Yeah,
I
he
just,
said he was stepping
I was
down
watching Lucy.
and that he was losing.
What? No.
He said he was stepping down.
No, he didn't.
Oh, wow.
He said he was going to continue the fight and he's not going to step down, and he's losing the delegate battle. So,
Here was the funny thing about it. I guess nobody can really see my microphone, but let's say my microphone is here. There's a woman that came over to adjust his microphone before he went on, and she went over to it like this.
Trump had a hot mic moment.
Yeah.
Trump had a hot
Probably
mic
close.
moment where he said the F word because he got some ink on his sleeve and the mic was hot and he said, OF. And and they caught it on the hot mic. It was C-SPAN.
Well, you're an idiot if you've got a microphone attached to you, as he does, and
Well, it's second time.
it happens all the time. He says words and speeches now. What president? What president is that coarse?
The Billy Bush thing was a hot mic
Yeah.
because they had him wired for the interview, and they didn't turn it off. Well, I guess he's into his wardrobe, and you get ink on your.
When I was working television,
Yeah.
and we would go out on a shoot, and I would be wired, right, with the wireless lav. If I went to the bathroom, I knew where that switch was on my side, and I clicked it off. And I went to the
Right.
bathroom, and when I came out, I clicked it back on. If you're a professional, you know to do that.
That's
Trump
right.
is a professional, but he also happens to be a moron.
Which one's the bowl?
Which one's the bowl?
The bowl. Feed them. Okay, everything.
Many a persons even caught Ronald Reagan when he did a
Oh,
sound
I like
check.
that.
Said,
Well, that was
we're-
a sound check.
bombing.
Yeah, but that was he was
Really?
joking. You know,
Yeah, joking.
he said, "I'm here to
Right.
announce it in 5 minutes we're going to bomb Russia." You know,
He said that.
yeah, but it was a
And
test. He
turn
was
around.
testing the microphone, but somehow it was went out over the air or something like that. But you know,
Yeah.
but no, nobody's going to believe something like that. But you know,
Russians did.
If Trump said that, they're probably all hard under the table. He's gonna do it.
I think he had to call Gorbachev,
yeah,
and it was a joke.
yeah. Yes, Jeff.
Yeah, so my grandkids are all going to school at home.
Wow,
Yeah.
homeschool.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Mm-hmm.
There's no more school.
Well, the reason you don't want them going to schools is because schools are cootie factories. Any parent will tell you that the first couple of years their kids are going to school, they have more colds personally than they've ever had in their life. Because these kids go to these cootie factories and they bring back everything. But that's good because that's how kids get immunity. But you know, I mean, it's not it's not good.
Tomorrow we're installing a daycare center. Friday, Saturday, and Monday. We're doing all the floors in the daycare center. So when they rip up the old floors and they bring them back to my dumpster, I'm sure it's going to be full of cooties.
Yeah,
Nice spray, yeah.
yeah.
You better Purell tomorrow, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Well, you know, you could get mugged for that Purell.
Actually, you know, Purell is good. You know, it's fine. It's simple. It's effective. But just as effective as washing your hands for 20 seconds with soap and water.
Yeah, but you can't always get near the sink.
Right.
Like I was thinking, if I had to go to a meeting right now, you know, meetings, people want to shake hands, and not even if you don't shake hands,
Bump 'em.
you're in a conference room. But you're in a conference room, and you put your hands on the table, and you're touching arms on the chairs and stuff. You got to get to your car, and you want to, you know, Purell while you're in the car before you start driving and touching your steering wheel. And
I'm using my key to push the elevator button.
Oh,
and-
that's what this is.
Me too.
Or I'm not touching the key. I'll only use the door getting out of the lobby that opens the way I want to go in or out so I can lean against it. And I'm not touching the railings on anything.
Look, you know, chances are, okay, if you did nothing, none of these preventative things, your chances of getting it are not huge. But
well, they're
still,
saying 1/3 of the country could get it.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
300,000 out of 330 million, 10% could get it.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so 33 million. So
that doesn't mean that they're 33. I mean that 10% are going to die.
no, but
but,
maybe 90,000.
80% will be just fine and all that. The other 20%, you know, maybe 10% will be in the hospital on a respirator, and the other 10% won't make
I'm
it.
sure some
it-
people
hey,
have. I'm sure
I
some
don't like
people.
those
I'm sure some people have a natural immunity. You know, I
Right.
mean, they just have a good immune
Right.
system, and it'll
Right.
fight it off, or it'll just be some people get it, and it's just like a small little flu that you get. The thing is, and this was a good reason to go get your flu shot this year.
I ain't getting
If you feel you have flu symptoms, well, it could be the flu.
Yeah.
But it could be the coronavirus. Now, how do you know the difference? Well, if you've had the flu shot and you feel like you have the flu, you may probably have the coronavirus. So get yourself to the hospital.
But having the flu shot sometimes, because what they're basically doing is giving you flu, is you get some of
They're
those
saying
symptoms.
this year's flu shot will protect you from all the flus that are going around right now. That if you suddenly get flu symptoms and you've had the flu shot, there's a good chance you might have the coronavirus. That's what they're saying. I'm just repeating what I've heard.
And I heard that the one big symptom is the high fever for the coronavirus. It's a high fever, like 103, they're saying.
Well, no. Sometimes
Is that one of the key signs?
This is the problem with it. It's not all the same for the same
it's not.
people. Jeff and I could get it. We could run 104-degree temperatures and be dead tomorrow morning. You could get it, Tony, and because of your age, or Todd, who looks like a pretty healthy guy. How old are you, Todd?
45.
45. Yeah, you know, you'd survive it pretty
They're
easily.
survivors.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm at risk. Okay.
Yeah,
Plain
the
and
very
simple.
young and people over 50.
Yeah.
That's why
There was a guy that was on the Princess Cruise that posted that he was sick and he was in isolation, and he posted actually the ex-police chief of town here posted this thing, and he was he said he actually got the virus, and he posted the symptoms, and he says, "This is what it's like to have the coronavirus," and he got a temperature of 103. He basically that's all he had, and he was dehydrated for about 2 or 3 days, I believe he said it was, and that was about it. And all they gave him was a lot of Gatorade.
Gatorade, you have electrolytes to keep your thing up so you don't.
Yeah, to keep his dehydration up, and then it just kind of faded away. And his wife was with him, and she didn't get it.
Well, he may have been.
So the question becomes: can he get it again?
Oh, that's a good question.
I don't know that.
They don't know that yet. You see, the thing is, we know so little about this. We know so little about this. I mean, coronaviruses have been around for quite a while. We may have had one in our time, give or take a few.
I understand that on the Lysol can, they say that it's good for coronavirus, and I understood there was an Israeli company that was working on a chicken vaccine against the coronavirus, and supposedly they were bringing that vaccine very quickly to the public use and testing on humans.
Well, it may be too late for the dead people. Okay, the point is that we are not in this country ready for this, and we've known for some time that eventually some kind of pandemic was going to take place. I mean, this may be a mild one compared to what's down the road.
Oh, shit.
And that's all the more reason to gut the CDC, take funding away.
It's also
that makes perfect sense.
It made perfect sense for the president to gut the CDC. Yeah,
right. Absolutely.
No, it's a reason not to depend on China, because with China,
Phil,
they don't
let's not assign blame to the Chinese. Whatever they've done, they've done. The fact of the matter is, let's assign blame to ourselves for not being ready for something like this. And when it first reared its ugly head in January, we didn't do anything about it.
Fauci said that, and Fauci has been the head of that thing over many presidents. I think Clinton on up. And he said that they made a mistake and they weren't ready. You can't blame Trump for the CDC's mistake that they even admitted to.
Wait a minute. Fauci isn't part of the CDC.
Isn't he the head of the CDC?
No, he's not.
What's he the head of?
He is part of a advisory committee, I believe, to the president, and he's been advisory to this president and to Obama, and I think to Bush before him. Yeah.
And Clinton.
Yeah.
No, I thought
he's not part of the CDC.
Well, he's saying that they weren't ready for this. They never expected something like this. And if these are the guys that are
first we knew about it in January, and here we are in March, and we still haven't done much of anything.
Well, in January,
he's the director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases.
Oh, okay, close enough.
Well, no, it's not close enough. The CDC is an organ of the federal government that is a private organization that he's the head of,
which Trump has taken great pride in defunding.
Right, you can't work if you don't have the tools to work with.
They just gave him $8.25 billion.
Just gave him now.
That's pouring water on a raging fire.
Trump also closed the borders to the Chinese in January when this thing first came up, and also the Chinese weren't giving us proper data. They were
holding back, I think.
Yeah, they were holding back information, and it got worse because of that. right?
Boy, I'll tell you, you're quick to blame everybody but Trump.
Yeah,
aren't
yeah.
you?
Well, are you going to blame Trump for any of this, Phil?
No,
Nah.
No. Okay.
Nah.
the right thing. A matter of fact, when he did that to China, everybody called him a xenophobe, and they called him every name under the book. But now, even Fauci says, he did the right thing.
That's so. The broken clock is right twice a day.
It was interesting.
With all the
Fauci-
other bumbling moves he's made, he made one right
Let's
move.
pay attention to Fauci for a second. The first time he appeared with the president, he seemed to be very conciliatory towards him, seemed to be very nice to him in that thing, saying nice things about what the president was doing and so on. As the time has gone on, every time you see him with the president, he's got a sour look on his face. And he starts saying things like, well, that isn't exactly true. This is what is true. I think in the beginning he felt by cooperating with the president would go along with his ideas and with his thoughts. But because the president hasn't, now he realizes he's on his own.
Well, we'll see.
You have a president, Phil, who has failed the American public horribly in a very disastrous moment. This is the very kind of moment that we were hoping that he'd be able to work through.
And I think he is. But do you think that Biden's going to do a better job?
Yes,
I mean,
absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
His speech was so empty. It was like Nixon. Where he
When
says,
did he give his speech? When did he give his speech? Which speech are you talking about?
Today, I believe he made what was last night. He made a speech that was supposed to be very presidential, and that and he blamed Trump. He says it wasn't going to be political, but it was very political.
Did anybody hear it? I didn't hear it.
I heard a little bit, and I'm going to tell you, I didn't really like the way, given the whole idea that we're surrounded by a pandemic, I didn't like how he made political theater Biden. I thought he should have not said anything. He tried to make, what I'm saying? I thought people are worried. You know what? Is it really the place or time to make a political theater about your campaign?
He can't help himself.
I thought taking
Neither
it
can
back.
Trump. Come on,
If Trump's going to crumble, let him just do it. But
it was
Phil,
going to be
if you're Phil,
help himself.
Phil, if you're gonna cast stones at that kind of thing on one side, your guy does it times 10.
I
so
believe,
you can't do you have no gain here.
Okay, wait a minute. So you can use a whataboutism, but I can't.
What are you talking about?
Because you're saying, well, this guy does it, so that guy does it. That's a whataboutism, and every time I do that, I get called on the carpet by Al.
That's because you never, ever, ever say anything. Well, Trump shouldn't have done that. You are 100%.
You're an apologist.
He's never done anything wrong. He's never lied.
Never.
Jeez. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, you're an apologist for him, Phil.
No, I believe what he said.
You would have more credibility with this audience if occasionally you said, well, I don't agree with him on that.
That's what I mean. It's the credibility factor.
With this audience, if I stood on my head and lit myself on fire, you've got people that comment.
No, the problem with you, Phil, is you're predictable.
Well, it's because that's my position. And
so
that position, and I defend that position.
So, but you hear us all the time saying things like, you know what, maybe Biden shouldn't have said what he said. And I don't think any of us are in love with any of these candidates, but you are 100% like Trump walks on water.
Yes.
The stock market goes down 8,000 points, and you don't say the president could have prevented that by being more presidential?
Well, it was coming, but
I see. Okay, it was coming, so we all had to come.
Phil, come on. Even I know you haven't done that. You don't do that.
Trump taught Moses how to part the Red Sea.
Oh, you're so full of shit.
He had a gun behind his back.
Sorry, Alex.
Todd's been somewhat quiet. Do you have anything you want to say, Todd, or is this just disgusting you?
Yeah, well, I don't know what stuff Phil is smoking, but he needs a chair because
that's what I was gonna say too, there, brother.
There you go. Because Trump, he just I understand what you're saying about, Bernie or Biden, and we all can say the things they do wrong. But Phil, man, your boy does everything 9 times out of 10 wrong, and you don't say nothing.
I
don't know what's wrong with you, man.
I don't think it's wrong. You know?
Well, I mean, I sit here and
that's not right. I've heard him say Trump's done stuff wrong, and now he's saying he hasn't said that. That's just like Trump, though.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Saying that the things that he does, I don't like the things he tweets. I think that he could be in better command of his communications. You know, he's got the bully pulpit, and he should be able to get across his points, but he attacks a lot. Now, but that's his way. I understand that. You hit him, he's going to hit you back 10 times harder. The problem with the Republicans, and the reason they lost, McCain lost, and Romney lost, is because when they got hit, they took the punch. And they said, well, if we fight back, that's lowering ourselves to that level. Well, Trump is a street fighter.
Well, wait a minute.
And
In both cases with McCain and then with Romney, you had two people who were going up against Obama, and I don't think Obama ever punched at them.
The DNC did.
But I'm saying Obama didn't. Obama was a very decent fighter.
Obama didn't have to. He had the DNC and all his talking
what
heads.
was the DNC doing? Who at the DNC?
What was the name of the guy that's Carville? He was one of them. Yeah,
Carville hasn't been at the DNC.
He was there for Clinton. He was there for Obama 1.
He was there for Clinton, and he wasn't there for Obama 1. No.
And
no.
You know, there were many.
You're
people
not naming anybody. Name an instance where the.
Okay, let me tell you what they said. They came after Romney, saying that when he was at Bain Capital, he did this, he did that, he did all sorts of negative things. There was a number of memes put out against both of these men to put them in a negative light.
Oh, and Trump didn't do that to Hillary?
Yeah, of course he did it to Hillary, and I'm not saying it was right, but what I'm saying is that when he gets hit, he hits back.
He does hit back.
Romney and McCain did
Tell
not.
you what.
No, but you know when he hits back also, unfortunately, Phil, he also hits back when no one has struck out at him.
Well, they do strike out at him.
Fighting with a dead man, that was terrible.
Yeah.
You know, anytime you're going to hit him, he's going to come back 10 times harder.
Yeah, he went out after McCain. After McCain was dead.
How about the gold star dad?
Believe me, Phil. Bullies do not. Bullies.
Him being
Bullies
a street
don't pick.
fighter is not right. He is not a street fighter. You put that guy out on the street, he ain't gonna last a minute.
I'm not talking about throwing punches. I'm talking about
just anything. He no.
Standing up and protecting himself.
Yeah.
Get his ass kicked.
Rob,
Because
give
if
your
any
hand.
one of those Republicans would turn around and challenge him, he'd get his ass kicked.
Does Rob have his hand up, or
No,
you're just being comfortable?
Yep, just being comfortable.
Being comfy.
Everybody's afraid of it.
Hey,
Hand up is over here.
Yeah.
Hey, I've talked enough. It's time for you guys to. I don't want to monopolize. No, really.
Oh yeah, and we only have 4 minutes left in the show, but that's nice of you, Phil.
Goes very quickly.
Take another minute. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, the show goes very quickly.
Let me see here. What else? What else was I watching today? That we had our mayor here, Bill De Blasio, declared a state of emergency here.
And he's got my sister going to school still. He hasn't closed the schools yet.
Yeah, I don't understand what kind of state of emergency. I mean, what's he doing?
He doesn't want large gatherings, but he's got all the little children going to school tomorrow.
How about all those guys in New Rochelle? You know,
You know why they want to send the kids to school, Tony?
It's a day camp.
No, you know why they want to send the kids to school? Because so
they'll
many
lose money.
places. No, because so many places in New York City, if the kids don't go to school, they don't eat. That's where they get 2 meals a day.
That's true.
Yeah. So it's a rough situation all the way around, being handled rather poorly, I think, by the government. I'm going to blame both sides. I heard today.
Absolutely,
I heard
both
today
sides.
that Nancy Pelosi and Trump aren't talking to each other.
Can we pass this bill to get some?
Yeah. How do you run a country if you don't talk to each other? You know.
Well, Nancy Pelosi's trying to put a bunch of stuff in that bill Trump says they've been trying to get in there.
Am I hearing Phil's voice? Is that what I'm hearing?
Oh yeah, he hates Nancy, Alex. He throws darts at the pitcher. I can see it.
But I mean, I just think that.
But can't they do anything right? They can't get along.
This is a time for nonpartisanship. Okay, this is a time for us to get together and to solve this problem. A bit late, but at least to minimize what disastrous circumstances might exist. And they can't even get together on that. I mean, it all becomes another bitch slapping fight.
This is a way for the Republicans to take back Congress.
Do I hear a voice?
Yes. If a congressman gets coronavirus, the Republicans could possibly take the respect.
Well, I mean, I just think that all that's happened is an absolute disaster for this country on so many levels, and even more so a disaster for the world, who is suffering greatly from this thing. And every country is trying to minimize the effects of it for good reason, that they don't want it to be terrible. They don't want it to get worse. They don't want their countries to be the country that becomes the real hot spot in the world.
Like Italy.
Well, like Italy, but Italy is taking rather draconian measures by telling all businesses that are non-essential to close down. They're allowing supermarkets and pharmacies to stay open. And that's it. Everybody else, go home. Don't leave your houses. Okay?
They shut the country down.
Yeah. And maybe we may wind up having to do that here. We've already done it in New Rochelle. We may have to do it here. And what does that mean to a guy like Todd, who's a truck driver, who earns his living off of this economy, and by this economy moving, and it's going to a standstill, and he's not working, and you got kids to take care of, right?
Well, didn't Trump call for unemployment for everybody who's affected by this?
Yeah, but I mean, you may have to prove it. He may have a hard time proving it, because he's self-employed, right? Am I right, Todd?
But I mean, I can just take an early retirement and call it a day.
Yeah.
Can you really afford to do that?
Hell no.
Hell no.
Because
I'm my little farm, my mini farm, and just grow my crops.
I'm sitting here thinking, you're in your 40s, I'm in my 60s, and my boss is now retiring at 53. And I'm thinking, what the fuck did I do wrong all these years? I got to keep working.
I'm still doing this for $8.35 for the last 5 weeks, is it, or something like that? Yeah.
When it gets to $10, are you going to share?
No, when I get $10, I'm leaving town.
We got profit sharing. I'm not making any money.
Right. No. Every one of you will share in my success.
Mm-hmm.
So just tell me where to send the 35 cents.
That's right.
And I'll be happy to do it.
Stamped pre-addressed envelope.
Yeah. Hey, that's it. Hear the theme? That's pretty good. Yeah, I like this newer, shorter format. Works better. We get it all in, and by the time we start getting tired, we don't feel we have to go another 25 minutes. Anyway, I want to thank all of you tonight. You've been terrific, every one of you. Of course, we always like having Kevin here, and Rob, you're always welcome on the panel. Jeff, you too. Todd, always great to see you. Tony, great to see you. And of course, the lovely and attractive Phil Meyer. Would everybody give a big wave goodbye? Okay? Good. And I'll wave back. Okay. Bye-bye. Okay, there they go, ladies and gentlemen. That's our citizens panel. And there'll be another one commencing in just a few moments here. Yes, I'm serious about that, because it'll be here with a guy by the name of Jack Bishop, and he's got a show called The Intersection, and give him a call. Anyway, let's see here. We'll be back again tomorrow night. I see no reason why not. Good for grins, right? Okay. And we'll see you tomorrow night. We'll be here at 10:30 Eastern Daylight Time. And in the meantime, as always, and I like to say this fondly, if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? Bye-bye, everybody.